All right, we are now on air. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah. Did you guys see that?
Good evening.
Yeah, nice. Scott, did you see the sign up back there, buddy? We're live.
We are live on air. And we have confirmed audio. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Okay, we're just going to keep an eye on that too. Want to make sure. All right, thank you for joining us this evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was told, all working, tell them mom is good.
All right. As long as she's taken care of.
Are the speakers on? Yeah. Okay. Agenda adjustment. We have two. Two, right?
Correct.
Two this evening. So first agenda move is we are moving 5.1 superintendent's report to before public comment. We know that there is a topic of interest this evening and wanted to just get some information out there.
And then do you want to mention the second one also?
Yep. And then the second one, I just didn't grab the number yet.
It's 11.1.
11.1 will be moved to after public comment. So 5.1 before 3 and 11.1 after 3. Okay. 2.1 to approve the minutes of the November 5th, 2025 Board of Directors meeting. Discussion. All right. All those in favor? All those abstaining? Due to absence? Welcome back. Okay, Marco, 5.1 is now, you're up.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for a few moments to share the latest regarding the school district. I'd like to start my report this evening with acknowledgement of concerns around our bus software, BusRight, and specifically bus badges. Prior to using BusRight for our bus routes, lost my place here. Prior to using BusRight for our bus routes and tablets, the district utilized 3 different services. We used US Cellular, who provided tablets and internet connection. We had Premium Wireless, which provided software, and then Unite GPS, which provided the programming of the software. Please note that the district did not utilize an app for the parent use at this time, given the cost. For totals there, the total cost of all 3 systems was $20,960.12. And please note that any replacement costs for tablets or hardware were at an additional cost. Last year, our Director of Transportation, Sheena Jordan, was tasked with finding an alternative to these 3 services with a neutral impact to the budget. BusRight was selected as the alternative as it provided all 3 services in one at almost the same cost. Along with the similar cost came additional features, an app for parent use, and the aforementioned bus badges. The parent app has been a success, allowing for real-time data to be shared with our Director of Transportation, bus drivers, and parents. I do understand that the system is not perfect, as cell service can be spotty, and in some areas of the school district, but it is a huge improvement as to what we have had. The total cost of this system is $21,000 even, which is a difference of $39.88. Please note, there is no additional cost for replacement of tablets, hardware, or badges. I want to assure our school community that our number 1 priority over anything else is student safety. The bus badges allow for additional peace of mind at no additional cost. The district requires parents and guardians to be at bus pickups and drop-offs through 3rd grade to ensure a safe transition from home to school and from school to home. Once students reach the 4th grade, parents and guardians may not be out for this handoff for a number of reasons. One of them, having to go to work prior to the pickup or drop-off time. The bus badges allow for additional transparency. If a parent or guardian would like to participate but not have their student's name, which was one of the concerns that was brought forward, we can make that happen. It's not a problem whatsoever. The badges are also helpful in case of an emergency situation, as we are able to pull ridership names in mere minutes from central office. With all of that being said, if a parent or guardian is not interested or wanting, for whatever the reason may be, to participate in using the badges, it isn't an issue. I want to offer the service to everyone. Regardless of the decision our families make, I respect it. If anyone has any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to Sheena. Also, just in other news, I had the pleasure of attending the Town of Sabata Select Board meeting last night to provide an update on the goings-on of our school district. I reported out on a number of events happening in our schools and preliminary information about our budget development. It was nice to see a number of friendly faces and get to meet the Chief of Police, who is new, David Lyons. I participated in a productive safety committee meeting yesterday led by our Director of Operations, Sean Knox. The meeting was attended by our local police and fire departments and our building principals. The meeting focused on reunification drills, ensuring people know their roles and responsibilities during the event we need to relocate one school to another. The committee reviewed the drill conducted last month, which was a success. The committee will also be conducting walkthroughs with local police and fire departments to assess any areas of building safety. The walkthroughs will be conducted while school is not in session. Additionally, I attended the FBLA, that's Future Business Leaders of America, installation ceremony last week. FBLA is the largest co-curricular at Oak Hill High School. It was a wonderful turnout with a large group of students inducted into the organization. I'd like to thank alumni Delia Custer, former chapter president, for her role in the ceremony, and our advising teachers, Angela Roy and Erica Federico. A few future events to note. Broadway night is happening at Oak Hill High School tomorrow night. I'll be attending the LRTC advisory meeting in Lewiston on Friday, and Thanksgiving break begins next Wednesday, and I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Marco. Any comments or questions from the board? I don't want to skip over that because we're going to go into public comment. But all right, moving right along into public comment. We invite the public to come up and speak. Please do so at the mic, and we ask that you announce your name and town. Don't be shy, and be friends with the microphone. Really good friends.
Generally, I don't have a problem being heard. Andrew Beaupre, Litchfield. I did come today to talk about my concerns with the Bus Right app and more specifically with the badges, and I really appreciate your comments ahead of time.
Sure.
As is my conversation with Ms. Jordan when I called her yesterday when the letter came out. Concerns about that system. I understand what you're saying about safety. I appreciate the removing the names from the badge, which is a large concern we should all have. I'm not going to tell anyone else what to do with their children, but very concerned about having one child's name out on the outside of their backpack labeled as was suggested by the district. That is a very big security concern. The other thing I have is in terms of the cybersecurity aspect with the app, in that this is, I'm assuming, an RFID chip. Is that not the case? Do we know if it's an RFID chip? It is an RFID chip. Okay. So an RFID chip can be read outside of the intended reader. I don't know if anybody else has a passport card. They all come with a protective envelope so that your RFID chip, oops, there goes my passport card, cannot be read by anyone other than border security. That would not be existent, I believe, on these tags that would be worn on our children. The other thing I had the concern about was once the information is available to the Bus Right app, it is out of our control. That is a third-party server that is going to be a target of cybersecurity, a really big one. I work for the state. I've worked for a number of governments before. Cybersecurity is becoming a larger and larger concern, and I was very concerned to see that our children were now going to all each have a digital footprint that would be available and out of the control of the family and out of the control of the district when it's out in a third-party entity on a server. So I really do appreciate that you're saying that we can opt out. My children will not be having the badges. And I would encourage all other parents to seriously consider that as we go forward, because you're creating a digital footprint for your child outside of the control of the district that will be in existence forever on someone else's server. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay. We are going to move on now to 11.1 to enter into an executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA, Section 405, 6D, labor negotiations. That was a motion. Okay, welcome back. We are going to move on to our administrator's report. Oh, I like this setup. You're all right
We
there.
would save time and not up and down and up and down.
Yeah. So
Is
5.4.
that TV on?
I like.
Did you want the TV?
I like the setup. So we have a data presentation,
Correct.
or is it? No, wait. I am so confused now because you're there, Shelley. Because you're a director,
I know.
but you're with the
I know.
administrators.
I'm here
'Kay.
for moral support.
Okay.
And data. That's
Data
why.
presentation.
I can never remember. This one. No, can you tell me if it's which one it is? Is it conference or CO? Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if the TV's. I don't know if it's working or not. If I do. There we go. All right. Awesome. Let me just in the right place. All right. I think we're going to take this out of here tonight because we're going to have to share. So I hope that you all I intentionally sent in the agenda packet a copy of the presentation, but also like larger size copies of the data, so you didn't have to try to read it inside the presentation. So I'm going to kick us off tonight, and then I'm going to let each of the principals speak to their own slides about their schools. So just a few reminders before we jump into the data that I wanted to make sure you had. One was that reminder that I always give you that this is just one data point, and we collect lots of data. A lot of it's classroom-based data, maybe unit tests and things like that. So we look at a lot of different things, not just the NWEA data. And it's always important to remember that. You may remember that I told you earlier this fall that they had changed the norms for the NWEA. I wanted to give you that disclaimer just in case you still have the data from our presentation in the spring or summer, I want to say. Because if you did and you compared them, you would say, where did Shelley get these numbers now? But it's because the norms changed. So I just mentioned that to you. And I also included in your data set group size. That's what that column that says N is, because it's really important to keep that in mind when you analyze data. Remember that if you're looking at a group of 100 students, one student represents 1%. So sometimes people will look at data and they'll say, oh no, they'll go, what? It went down 3 percentage points. And I just want you to remember that if it's a class of 100, which a lot of ours are even smaller than that, that's 3 students. So it's good perspective to keep in mind, I think, as you look at trends across data. So you'll remember in the summer, I had given you, I think I gave you spring of 23-24. No, spring. I gave you the spring data only. And one of the things that you all asked me about was to see it broken out by grade. And you had asked about multiple years worth of data. So that's what I've given you here. So all the beautiful color coding just allows you to track cohorts of kiddos, right? So if they're the same color, like here, if you're looking within the 23-24 school year, you can look for this kindergarten group across the year, right? So here's their fall data, their spring data, and the percent of students that met the growth goal that year. Then when you move to 24-25, you jump down to here. This is the same cohort. Okay. So I did that for you so you could look across a year or across multiple years. And of course, we only have fall data for this school year. We'll expand it. So I broke it out by grade, and at the bottom, I put the percentage for the whole student body. Any questions about that layout? Or anything? Go ahead, Robbie. Mm-hmm. Are you talking about from fall of 23 to spring of 24? Oh, the growth goal. This third column is the percent of students that met their growth goal. Now that's a figure that's not related to these other two columns, right? So this first column tells you that 74% of the kindergartners in the fall of that year were meeting or above on the NWEA, and in the spring it was 65% of them that were meeting or above. So some of them slipped below that meeting line. This 48% tells you that 48% of them met the goal, their growth goal in NWEA. So you can't really compare those two. But you can look across, and it's always kind of interesting, right? You see, like, as kindergartners, 48% of them met their growth goal in 23, 24. And when you look at 24, 25, when they were in first grade, it was 66%. Oh, sorry, 68% that met the growth goal. So that's where you start looking across cohorts. And I'd love to be able to say to you, here's the answer for why in that grade that was the result, but I could not, because there are so many factors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember that, how do I say this? So the expectations for what a student's able to do on the assessment changes as they progress through the grades, right? So that, for me, it's a good indication, like this particular group, it's a good indication that a lot of them sort of learned what they should have learned in that first grade year, because 68% of them met their growth goals. So they're not, but one of the things on Jan's slide, so I don't want to steal her thunder, is about incoming kindergartners. And kindergarten is kind of the most challenging grade, in my opinion, to interpret accurately the NWEA data, because there's always strange things about the data in that grade. So I'm not gonna say why. I'm gonna let Jan talk about it. Yes. So that, yeah, no. N is the number of students. I couldn't fit like any letters in there to explain that, but that's why I put it there, right? Because one of the things you want to look at when you see a big change over time in the performance is also check whether the number of students in that group has changed drastically, because that has an impact. Yeah. Done. Correct. Yeah. It is. And even when you don't see a change, it doesn't mean it's the same kids, right? Okay, so that's the other thing. Yes.
Shelley, could you remind me who sets the growth goal?
Sure.
I was late.
We don't do it. It's actually set by NWEA.
Okay.
So, and it's based on where a student performs in the fall and how other students that perform at that level, what their typical growth is. So it's sort of set by the system, and then it reports out. They look at their spring score and they say, did they hit that goal or not? So it's not set by us. It's like the expected growth for students based on their data. This is, do you remember when we talked about like norm reference data or criterion reference data? And these are percentile ranks, right? So generally, if I take the test in the fall and I get a score and I'm in like a group, and then I move forward and I look at my spring result, and let's say if my growth is in the 50th percentile or above for the group that we all have the similar score in the fall, then I will have met my growth goal. So it's a little bit wonky, but it does give you at least assurance that the student has demonstrated the growth you would hope they would demonstrate over the course of the year. That's the way I just consider it one of the ways you could look at growth. You can see, like, as you also will see their RIT score, right? So that 3-digit score, and you can see, like, sometimes, depending on how they performed in the fall, they can grow quite a bit but still not meet that growth goal. So it's not like a set number of points. It's about the growth of the norm in the norm data. That's the best way I can explain it. So no, not really. So the way the test goes is that it is adaptive, right? So as you get questions right or wrong, it gives you easier or harder questions, and it determines your place and your score, which is that 3-digit RIT score. When you take it in the spring, you start where at the level that you were at in the fall, and it does the same thing. Does that especially in K2, 9th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. It's fully adaptive. In those other grades in the spring, there's some of that adaptive section, but there's also a bank of questions that are about end of grade expectations. Like, this is something you should know at the end of 3rd grade, and do you have that right? And that's where what they use to like derive that score for the state assessment. So that's only in grades 3 through 8 and 10th. Okay. But generally, every kid who takes it, both seasons, they have some adaptive questions that bounce them around until it finds the place. Yeah, so.
Remember to use our mics, guys. Everybody. We can hear you in the room. It's just for the viewers.
Is it okay for me to jump to math just while you're
Hold on.
asking
I
the
did
question?
interrupt Diane.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
I do know when kids are testing, they will say, I got a harder question, so they know that they are moving up.
Yep. And I did the exact same thing for your math data setup. So you can look at those side by side. And again, I think the same kind of questions you have about reading, you'd probably have about math across the state. And I'd even say across the nation. Performance is lower in math than in reading. So.
Mike, please.
Yeah, that's a great question. Go ahead.
It's not out. Why are
the ends different numbers from one?
So
math and
obviously
reading?
the goal is always that all students take the assessment, but they're not given on the same day. They're scheduled at different times, and so sometimes a student will miss the assessment, it doesn't get made up, or if you have a student who's a first year to the country ML student, they're exempt from the reading assessment. Or you might have a special ed student who doesn't take one of the. It's just a kind of a random thing. They're always really close, not always exactly the same. That's why. So, are other questions about this before I? So this is, I kind of took the theme of the presentation from a protocol I've used lots and lots of times with teachers to analyze data. And so the first step you do is called here's what, and you just kind of look at the data that you have and you make statements about the obvious. Some of you ask questions like Robbie said, why did that number go down? That's like an observation of the data. The next step in the protocol is always the so what, and that's where you kind of analyze the data a little bit. So what I said to the principals is I sent them some questions. I said, I want you to kind of think about so what with your data, and then the last step is now what, which is like, what are we going to do about it? So they're going to talk to you about the so what, the now what, and also I remembered that at our last meeting, you were talking about wanting to hear about challenges, the things that challenge us as we try to impact our achievement data. So that's in there, and I just remembered there's more data before I turn it over to them. Sorry. I also pulled attendance, because if you asked me, just for the Shelley Mogul opinion of one of the things that most impacts our achievement data, I would tell you the ongoing struggle with attendance. So there are 2 different attendance data points you'll see. One is called average daily attendance. That is one of the things that gets reported to the state and calculated, and that is the percent of students that are present on a daily basis, like the average any day that you check attendance over the year. What is the average daily attendance? So that's what I've given you here, which you're like, you look at that and you say, this is pretty great. The goal is always like 95% or higher. So you look at it and you go, oh, awesome. The other data point with attendance that the state collects and that we calculate regularly is chronic absenteeism. Now, this data we had to pull from a report where it's not disaggregated by school, so I apologize for that. Chronic absenteeism is when a student misses 10% or more of the days that school's been in session. So that target moves, right? If you've only been in school for 10 days and you miss one day, you're at the chronic absenteeism point, right? So the number of days changes, but it's always 10%. So this is just a little picture of that. So you look at the average daily attendance and you say, wow, this is great. But then you look and you see 32% of students last year were chronically absent. So there's 175 student days. That means they've missed 17 and a half days over the course of the year. And that counts no matter what they're out for, by the way. It's not excused versus unexcused. It's just the total number of absences. So, and WMEC, last month, we looked at, districts brought their data for this year through October 15th, and I can tell you that these numbers are no different than any of the other districts in Western Maine, but it's a constant conversation among curriculum leaders. My curriculum leaders, we talk about attendance a lot and strategies to improve attendance. I put this in here because I heard you ask about challenges, and I was trying to think about where is there a challenge that the board could have a voice and sort of help get a message out. And for me, it's about the importance of kids being in school. So I wanted to give you this data. All right. Jan, you're going to use that one?
I think so. Is this on? All right.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes there's reasons. I mean, there's always a reason.
Right, homelessness.
Some of them are more, I don't want to say valid, that sounds harsh, but are, so sometimes a family takes a vacation, right? Those count toward that chronic absenteeism if they're not in school. Other times there's big barriers to getting there. I think some of the principals will probably talk about that a little bit.
So what? At Libby Tozier, we have the kindergarten and first graders. So a big piece of ours is just getting started in school. So kids are just getting started in school. They're starting to take assessments. We do a lot of assessments when kids start school, and this is just one of them. So one thing we notice, jumping to the last one, is that the data from NWA doesn't always tell us the same story as other data points. So we're looking at letter naming fluency, we're looking at number ID, we're looking at their social emotion skills, we're looking at if they can sit on the rug, they can point to things, you know. So an NWA test is very interactive, but not necessarily the interactive device or games that they're used to. Many of our kids are playing games on an iPad, but they're getting input that tells them that the answer is right. So if they push something, you know, confetti might go, or it might turn red and tell them that it's wrong, and it might not give them the next button. In an NWEA test, it presents the question, and it does read it to them at Libby Tozier, and they are given some wait time, and it's internet-based, so you're kind of waiting for that question to load. They click their answer, and then they have to wait until the button on the below changes color and they can go to the next page. Some of our students take that as, I'm wrong. I need to make another choice. Oh, now my green button's on and I'm moving on. So some of what we're dealing with in kindergarten is just getting kids used to taking tests, that the questions are adaptable. Some of them are going to be really hard. It's okay to guess. There's 3 answers. Sometimes you guess right. And that's in a kindergarten test in 30 questions. Sometimes they guess enough right, and that puts them into a higher zone. You know, as the years go on, it's going to figure that out. Probably by first grade, the test is figuring that out, and it's more matching other data points that we're seeing. So just we do look at it with caution, and we're definitely looking at it with the other data points when we're looking at NWA. We are noticing, though, that there's a very strong growth trend in first grade. So as Robbie said, you know, first grade is huge. They're learning so much. They're becoming readers. And the level of growth that they experience that grade is evident. So that's good. This just gives you an overview of what our goals are. how are we going to do that? So one big thing that we're doing with Shelley this year is looking at our literacy curriculum review. We use different pieces of literacy programs that are very well vetted and are wonderful programs, but just looking at how they're being put into use is a big focus for us this year. We are looking at putting together groups based on our data, so that's how teachers teach. They're looking at their data, they're grouping up kids that are working at the same level, and then always reassessing. K is focusing on phonological awareness, decoding and comprehension. Those are areas in our testing that are showing our weaknesses, so we're definitely focusing on that. And in first grade, fluency and comprehension. We have put in daily number sense routines in our math program, and then we've also started a calendar routine in kindergarten that we're hoping is going to really boost some math skills. We're redefining and expanding our PBIS and social emotional learning lessons all the time just to help kids become better students, and focusing on attendance. So attendance is a huge thing. There is everything from extended illnesses to extended vacations to homelessness and housing crisis issues. A lot of split families dealing with just trying to figure out their schedules. And then with the young kids, they get sick a lot. They just do. So it's just working with families on, when to be able to send your kid to school and when to keep them home, and where that line is, and it's different for a lot of families. So. Challenges is attendance. We have a high rate of kids that are coming in tardy, so very much so in first grade, they are starting at 8:30. They need to get those lessons going so they can fit everything in the day. And if a kid is walking in at 8:40, 8:45, they're still needing to get breakfast, they're missing lessons, and it's noticeable. Same thing with leaving early at the other end. So not only is just attendance an issue and being absent for the whole day, but also just missing pieces of the day is big too. We have a very big, a wide range of kids coming into kindergarten. So many families are opting into our pre-K program and are getting early skill development, but others are opting out, or they're finding other care, which is great. But we're having kids start kindergarten that know their letters and are ready to learn, and others that are just really needing a lot of support, just lining up and focusing. We have just different levels of staff. We have staff with 30, 35 years of experience, and we have staff that have just started. So just different areas of need, and helping staff where they are, and time. It's a challenge. We're trying to pack a lot into a school day, and there's just a lot to cover, so time is a challenge too.
Okay, so you're gonna, I'm not gonna repeat a lot of what Jan said to not go on and on, but a lot of the challenges that we face at Carrie Ricker are a lot of the same things that she faces as far as attendance, but we'll go through. So the number of students meeting their growth goal in reading did improve from 2023-24 to 24-25. And math growth is a challenge, as Shelley noted, especially in grades 3 and 4, where the math gets exponentially a little bit more difficult, and you'll find that as they go into the higher grades as well. So now what? Again, you'll see our goals are on the side for reading and math. We are using PLGs and leadership meetings to analyze assessment data, not just NWEAs, but again, as Shelley mentioned and Jan mentioned, we use a lot of different pre and post assessment data as we look at their different reading scores that they take. The teachers do 3 times a year, sometimes more for certain subsets of students. We'll look at all that different data to analyze groupings, see where we need to support kids, and check and adjust lessons. Book study groups during our PLGs are focused on math and literacy tier 1 instruction, and how the teachers can look to support the phonological awareness, math instruction to make math lessons more engaging. So all the staff members at Carrie Ricker are participating in one of the different book studies that we're having this year. We also, in order to increase engagement, we have math night that we put on recently that is building excitement for math, getting families talking about math. We gave away a lot of math games at math night, hoping to get more community engagement just to make math a little bit more fun. We also have for literacy in the spring, we do launch One School, One Book. It was a great hit last year. We're looking at trying to select a book for this next coming year. Again, it's a way to bring the community into the school and to get community engagement into the everyday reading. Ongoing coaching support. We do have, as Jan mentioned, we have some brand new teachers, new to the grade levels, and we have some veteran teachers. So we are using the coaches that we have, the math and the literacy and the PBIS coach to support those teachers at different levels. And again, well, I'll mention that in challenges, sorry. And then focusing on student engagement through the book study, through the coaching support, looking at Tier 1 instruction. That's instruction that's happening in the classroom every day. How do we get the kids engaged in the lessons and coming to school? Challenges. Again, merging of two schools. There were a lot of different instructional styles. There were administrative styles that have changed. For the staff members, so just trying to get all that staff working as a cohesive team and bringing them all together, that's been a bit of a challenge. Higher than average student needs, we're finding is, and having some staffing constraints as far as supporting all those student needs has been a big challenge for us. Attendance concern for a subset of students. Jan mentioned all the different reasons that students miss, and it's just hard to, you know, when you have in a class of 17, if you have 2 students out for a week and then you want to continue on, but they've missed that whole math lesson, they don't know where to start, you know, you can't just stop the lesson and have the 15 who were there relearn everything. So how do you integrate those 2 kids back in? And, you know, the teachers are great at trying to check and adjust and support those students who are out while keeping the other ones going, but it's been a challenge. And then balancing that all with the PLGs. Again, as Jan mentioned, we have some veteran staff and we have some brand new staff. I have a lot of probationary staff in their 2nd year, and finding professional development that will engage the veteran teachers and help the new teachers out has been a challenge.
Okay, so what at Oak Hill Middle School? Consistent high quality instruction is important, and what we have seen, and I have only been there, this is my 2nd year at Oak Hill Middle School, and you know, beforehand at Sabattis Primary School and then Carrie Bricker and Libby Tozier, but firsthand we just saw that unforeseen circumstances with our staffing last year really affected 2 grade levels in particular, and the positive of that is showing that our instruction really does matter. When you have long-term subs in those positions, you see a hit in those grade levels, and you can tell in our 5th grade and 7th grade. 5th grade math last year and 7th grade reading took a hit, and it shows that the time and effort that we put into instruction is important, and when our teachers are in the building, they're doing great work. And you know, it's unfortunate when things come up that are out of our control, and we support the best that we can, but having consistency in positions is important. You can see improvement in the percentage of students meeting their reading growth goal, and then the math achievement and growth are more challenging than the reading achievement and growth, as Shelley said. Then now what? This is what I've been so excited to talk to you about, and I mentioned our win time that we have at Oak Hill Middle School. And I've heard a lot of questions from the board of what are we doing for our higher level students that need enrichment, but then also how are we closing those gaps? And that is when win time comes in. So we've worked hard to refine our RTI process with both math and reading interventions so that data follows students from year to year and we can hit the ground running. I truly feel that we are getting students what they need and making some meaningful progress right now. This is our 1st year. We were able to start interventions by week 3. So the first 2 weeks we were able to get all of our diagnostic assessments through IXL, any FPBAs and data from the previous year, and map out a quick picture of the student going into our fall. And so I just want to give you one grade level example. It's different at each grade level what the focus is because the students are different, but I'm going to use 6th grade as an example of the different groupings that we're doing just at that grade level. So the current grade 6 WIN groupings are the ELA teacher does a tier 3 grouping, and it focuses on syllables, context clues, vocabulary, and comprehension. The science teacher is doing reading informational text with students. The math teacher is doing adding with regrouping and subtracting with borrowing. Our social studies teacher is doing a multiplication group. Our GT math teacher is doing 2 subtraction and borrowing groups. Our art teacher is providing GT enrichment services. Our music teacher is doing band and chorus at that time. Our PE and health teachers are doing teamwork and refining skills. And our special education teachers are doing executive functioning and IEP services. And then our ELAG teacher, GT teacher, is doing enrichment groups and growing based on the ongoing data and assessments. We are looking to look at our schedule for different constraints so that we can offer more. And it just is aligning up those blocks because WIN is surrounded by our lunch times. And as you know, we have 4 different grade levels. And so it has to change based on lunches and then when people can be available. So we are looking at some different schedule changes right now. But as you know, that can affect everything. So I'm having to work with different departments to make sure that we can make some changes. That would not change anything in Power School, but just that block for WIN grouping time to offer more to students. So right now we have definitely a heavy math and reading focus because the need is significant, but we're also expanding options to make sure we're meeting the whole child. These groups switch every 6 weeks, and we have data rounds where we look at all of the collected information from students, and then we make new groupings, and some students may need to have a more intensive grouping and maybe stay in one, or some people are moving on and after a week or 2 they're ready to go to something else and they can bring more students in. But every 6 weeks we're trading. Some students are able to move on faster than others. Then to challenges. It's okay. So our challenges is attendance, and we're working hard with different state initiatives such as Count Me In, PBIS, and then working with individual families and having meetings of what are some concerns, what's going on, and how can we help. Really trying hard to partner with families. It does take a village, and we want to make sure that everyone's a part of that, and being able to have that open door policy of what can we do as a team to get your kids in the building, what can we do to make school fun and enjoyable. And I can tell you, and I mean, you guys have seen it from the different reports, we have a lot of fun at Oak Hill Middle School, and I feel like we have a lot of partnerships of making more opportunities for our kids. And we do have our winter night coming up soon, and I hope you guys come and join us. I'm going to be sending a flyer out the first week of December, but that is going to be super fun, and we're going to have some family stations that they can do for crafts, and so come on by.
I didn't realize we were on a promotional tour. I'm going to talk about my stuff too.
You can come too.
So, good evening. So obviously we think about data at the high school level. Kind of as Shelley said, that NWEA data is one thing we look at at one point, and we start to also turn our focus to lots of different things and goals that we're working on with students. So obviously we're going to talk about NWEA tonight, but some of the other things we think about is like transitioning students in, and then also like what's it going to look like for them when they leave our school system. Are they going to be good community members, productive citizens? How are those things? And those are more qualitative, but those are things we start to look at. And what do they have for a plan? Are they feeling good about that? Where are they going? But this is one piece also. Just a couple of data points, and just all of our grades meeting growth goals for spring of 2025, or almost all, in both reading and math. And then sort of also looking at math performance from fall to fall, from 24 to 25. And I can talk about why I would look at fall to fall when we get to some of the challenges. But often I feel like regardless of where I've been working, we're looking at fall data. And a piece of that is sort of like how engaged students are when we come to when they start viewing things in a more outcome-based model about where they're headed and what they're getting and awarding credits and things like that, and like how we're talking about NWEAs and how they're feeling about NWEAs to some degree. And so looking at that very fresh October date of high school students that and when they're taking those exams. I added stuff, it got small, I'm sorry. So just some of the stuff that when we're thinking about it, and actually one that's not even on here is really when you think about it at other levels, when maybe you're just getting your students in an elementary classroom and they're there a lot. So our teachers are getting maybe the same section of the same class with a number of different sections, right? So for us, it's like, what does the data look like when we start our classes? So Shelley also came over and worked with staff about how do we look at our data, whether it's coming into the year or after our fall testing, about who's sitting inside our classrooms and how we adjust our instruction to make sure we're meeting the needs of those students. So, for instance, one of the data points that Shelley didn't talk about that we also find out is Lexile levels of students or about how they read. So I could have a section of students for a particular class that has a very different overall average Lexile level than another section, and really like how do I adjust my instruction to help students meet goals, and how do I adjust my instruction to meet their needs. And so there are some really good, easy graphs to use that talk about student achievement data and student growth. They're pretty easy to access, class by class for teachers at the high school level. So we reviewed that. Also just some of the interventions up there, we don't need to talk about each one, but BAR, PBIS, working with reading intervention and comprehension with students from our interventionist, and then dedicating time for multiple academic activities during RC, and everyone's favorite, Membean. If you have a high school kid, you've heard about it. It's a thing. I think that, for us, it's again about how do we engage students in reading and math in different ways and course offerings. I think that's an important piece as they're thinking about coming into high school and then exiting high school. And then, obviously you can see our goals. We set those this summer. And then our challenges really are sort of related to that sort of fall data. Challenges? Attendance, like everyone else said, I think that is always a challenge. And I think, somebody had a question, of course, we spend a lot of time working with students and families about specific situations to try to make sure that they are accessing their education. So that is a challenge. And then I think, for us, really the biggest challenge for NWEAs is, student engagement and doing, their best from exam to exam, right? So, of course we would expect that they are working during the year and their score is going to go up, right? Well, I think in the high school, you've gone through the year and you're adjusting to credits and transcripts and accruing those things and working hard kind of till the end of the school year to get those credits and make sure you're on track. And by the time we get to the second exam, I think that students are tired and it's different than other grades. So I think that can be a real challenge for them, and sort of feeling that being incentivized, and we're working on that to have them do the best. Of course, we want them to. Like if we want them to say, like if I'm putting my name on something, then I'm going to do the best I can do. And so that's the work we're doing to try to get them to engage in that in the way we want them to. But it is a challenge that we continue to work on.
All right, thank you. Yes. Yep, I need.
Guys, you're all.
We're gonna. I was gonna say Mark was gonna let our administrators and.
You guys are all set. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time and your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we are approaching 9 p.m., I need a motion to extend.
I'll make a motion to extend the time that we need beyond 9 o'clock.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Are we doing the entire agenda, or are we only?
So that's a really good question. I think what I was going to do was motion to move some items to the next meeting after this motion. We could talk about that during the next motion discussion, right? What you're thinking. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
We never guessed tonight.
Excuse me. Now that we've allowed our meeting to go past 9 p.m., I am going to ask for a motion to discuss the agenda items remaining outstanding and determine which ones we will discuss this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. You want to say what you were thinking, Marco?
Yeah, I mean, where it's late. I mean, you guys have been fantastic, and I appreciate it. Nancy had to use one arm to put the other one up to vote the last time, so I appreciate it. Not to belabor it farther, I think if you guys are in agreement, we can postpone, 7.2, 7.3. Did I? 6.1, correct. 6.1, 7.2, 7.3, and we'll cover the new business with 7.1 and do our Personnel and Policy Committee 9.3, and then I think we'll be good to go.
That would be my recommendation as well. However, I will have homework for you for 7.3 should we include that in tabling till the next meeting.
That's fair.
That is my recommendation. Thoughts, comments? Robbie's good. You guys ready to vote? So all those in favor of moving 6.1, 7.2, and 7.3 to our next regular scheduled board meeting on December 10th, 2025. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a question. I'm like trying to.
So all those in favor, raise your hand.
I thought we had a question.
I don't have a question.
Okay, all those opposed? Scott wants to stay for the duration of the agenda. I'm sure that passes formally for the vote here. Okay, so then that brings us to 7.1 to approve Jennifer Cormier as a special education teacher at Carrie Ricker School of Regional School Unit Number 4 as recommended by the superintendent.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? It's unanimous. So then that brings us to our 9.3 Personnel Policy Committee.
That would be me. All right. We met today and had some conversation about some old business, the exit interview that was implemented. Marco shared it with a couple of people that have left the district recently and is waiting answers back on that survey. Also, just a heads up, we reviewed some policies that were review only, so they don't need to come to the entire board, but I think it's important to note for everyone to know which ones those are. So it's BDD, BDG, BE, BFDC, and BEDF. So that was reviewed. Then we are updating a policy which is changing because current law has changed, and that is policy JKAA, which is the restraint and seclusion policy. So that will come to the board on December 10th for the first reading. And there's some language change because of the law. So you'll see kind of stuff that's stricken out, some suggestions that we've had. We did have Justin come in because we had some questions of making sure that parents were being notified and some other things. So we really took that policy and spent a lot of time on it. We spent like 3 meetings on it to make sure that we were thorough in terms of what we're presenting to you. And then we reviewed the district openings that we have currently. Did I miss anything, committee?
Okay. Any questions for our committee? Okay, then now we can move on to board member comments. Go ahead, Diane.
I'm excited to say that my granddaughter is very happy. We have a French teacher that started, and she is in love with her.
Nice. Anybody else? Go ahead, Nancy.
I just want to say thank you guys. I actually enjoyed working with all of you. It's been the best board that I've worked with when I've done the school board thing. So thank you, and I appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you, Nancy.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Doug.
I like the new admin report format. I thought it has a lot of potential. I like the challenges part and the what next, and I kind of liked it. I thought it got right to the point and opened up the communication going forward. So I kind of wanted to say it in front of them, but hopefully they look back and they'll know.
Well, I think it's, as you guys said earlier, like, point taken about when we do, our meetings and such. I mean, they did a great job with the presentation and they worked hard on it. It would have allowed for more discussion and conversation, had it time allowed. So I just want to make note of that and appreciate the comment, Doug. Thank you.
Go ahead, Teresa. Sorry.
Want to comment on what was the homework that you wanted to assign? I'm that nerdy kid that wants to make sure I do my homework.
I will let you know.
Write it on the
I
board.
will promise.
Write it on the board.
Right on the board, Nicole.
Right. You don't want to see my handwriting. I type all day, right?
I just wanted to publicly thank the middle school teachers for parent-teacher conferences last week. It was great to just hear feedback about our students, and just the overall energy at the middle school is really great. And it's fun to kind of know that your kid is having a great time at school. So I appreciate that.
Okay, anybody else? So I always save my comment for last, or I let you go first. Maybe I should switch that up every now and then. No, the homework is the 7.3, right? Budget discussion. What are your goals? What do you want to see? Let's come to the 12:10 meeting with some either data requests or, what do you want Marco to accomplish with his budget that he is going to propose to us? Well, it is our budget in the end, but we do rely on you to propose it. Right.
Then it's their budget.
And then I do want to thank everybody who did do the evaluation. There's still one holdout out there, so I obviously have no idea who it is, and I'm not even going to look, so I don't want anybody to get red in the face. But I really, really, really would like to see 100% participation.
I submitted mine twice.
Oh, so you think I should have, right? It didn't count.
If it's positive, we should use it. Use it twice.
I could talk to Christy, but I only see like the updated. I don't.
That's real time.
Yeah, I don't see two. So, go ahead, Doug.
I used the link that Christy sent, right? If I just click on the box and it brings up that survey, and then at the end when I submit it, that should submit that, right? Just to click.
As long as it says thank you for submitting.
I can't remember exactly what it
I was
said, but I think it did. I don't know. Should I send another one and then just in case?
I don't know. Listen, if I don't know, I would really like to have.
Yeah.
Did you fill the form out in the email or did you click the link?
I clicked the
Then
link.
you're all set.
Okay, I clicked the link and it brought me up to a whole new
Yes,
screen,
you
and
are
I
all
did all the
It
stuff on
should
there.
You are all set.
should
Okay.
be saved. So.
I was just a little worried about it.
You are all set.
I did both. That's what I did, Scott. I did
Again,
both.
again, if it's positive, we'll count it twice.
It was positive, yeah. We'll count it twice.
Averages.
No, I think that that echoes Nancy's comment. I do appreciate you jumping in the interim. We were had a seat down for a bit there, so thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I just think it goes to show that we are working collectively this year a lot better, and I want to keep that momentum. But I would really like to meet that 100%. That's my goal for that superintendent evaluation. And that will also be discussed on 12/10. So that the plan is, yes,
Yep.
it has to be executive session. So understanding, Nancy, that you won't be here on December 10th. I know that you won't be able to participate in that, but if you have or haven't, your comments still are valid and appreciated and very meaningful. So I think that's it. I think that's all I needed to say. Without further ado, and without objection, I declare the meeting adjourned at 9:09 p.m. Thank you.